There's been a crazy Triple H anniversary segment on this episode of SmackDown. Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast review of SmackDown. I am Chopper Pete Quinnell. I'm joined today by Andy Datson. And please give this video a like and a subscribe. Help us grow the channel. Do all the good algorithm things that YouTube wants you to do. We're going to be going through the rest of the episode of SmackDown. But first, we're going to be talking about this main event segment. This Triple H 25th anniversary segment. They've been hyping this up for a few weeks now. And you'd expect something pretty major to happen in the segment, the way they were building it up. It wasn't something major. What it was essentially the roast of Triple H is pretty much what the segment was. It started off with Triple H coming out, and before he could even really get a word out, the security guy took his water bottle off him, so he couldn't do his normal Triple H entrance because, Steve Corino, he's got his mask on and everything. It was good. And then he got into the ring, but before he could even start properly talking, Shawn Michaels came out. Said, hey, you didn't think you were going to do this without me, were you? And then they go back and forth for a bit. There's a couple of video packages, one showing kind of the DX outtakes, which, it's some never before seen footage of them screwing up their lines and things like that. There was another video package of Triple H losing at WrestleMania all the time. We had FaceTimes from Stephanie McMahon and Ric Flair and Road Dogg. Not Billy Gunn, because he's an AEW. And then a rare appearance from Vinnie Mac himself, who came out to say some words. He was rambling, wasn't he?
Vince McMahon face turn. It was the nicest I've ever seen him. First of all, I'm not sure Michaels and Triple H should be in the same ring. I mean, they are both in the at-risk age group, I would imagine, by now. It was one of those things where you just gotta let them do it. You gotta let it happen. You've got to watch it. There were some funny bits. There were bits where it made me smile, and I know the internet has been very fond of this segment. Perhaps, but it was fine. I wasn't the biggest fan. I think it was just a bit too long. Like if they'd kept it to under 10 minutes, I think it would have been a much better segment. But it was just about 20 minutes long, and it did drag a bit. Vince didn't really actually say anything. He just kind of came out and said, "Hey, remember all these terrible segments that you were kind of a part of?"
Yeah.
Hey, remember when you did that really weird Katie Vick storyline?
Not a fan with how liberal they were being with Katie Vick. I'm like, that's a pretty serious thing. You can't just be like, oh, what a wacky segment. Like, wacky segments is Mae Young giving birth to a hand. Like, not Katie Vick. That's not wacky. That's just wrong.
Yeah, it was fine. I thought Road Dogg has an awful beard now. It was true. I didn't recognize him for a minute, because it's doubled the size of his head.
It is pretty big.
And also Michaels is trying to grow a Triple H beard. I don't know how to be too negative, because I know everyone really liked it.
Yeah, but
it wasn't for me. I think the first few minutes were good with Michaels and going back and forth, and him kind of going, "Oh, you had such a great time at WrestleMania. Oh wait, you lost 13 times," which actually. Yeah. I didn't realize that he'd lost 13 times at WrestleMania.
He's lost a lot,
which is pretty impressive. It's probably more WrestleManias than I've watched live. But yeah, it was cool. At one point, I was thinking, "Oh no, they're teasing a Michaels Triple H match."
Oh,
I
God.
do not want to see that.
No one does.
But I did like a couple of things Vince said. He came out to say, he was sort of saying like, "Oh man, your last match." That was rubbish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But at least there was no actual hint that any of them are going to be getting back into the ring, which is nice, because I was really worried that something like that was going to happen. Like he'd be celebrating an outcomes Baron Corbin or outcomes insert generic heel who says, Yeah, well, you're old man now. You are old, and I am young, and you are old. Therefore,
Is it Arnold Schwarzenegger that comes out?
You are old, and we have a match now. Yeah, I was really worried that someone was gonna plod out and do that. But
yeah,
hey, look, the bloke's been in there for 25 years. He's done some great things. He's done some not so great things. But I don't think you can kind of question the fact that the impact he's had on the business. And in the end, I don't think you can kind of begrudge him sort of 20 minutes of self-indulgence.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I think this segment was overly long and overly self-indulgent. I also don't think it should have main evented the show. Just because
I would have been happy if this had been the first thing on the show.
Yeah, if it was the first thing, or even in the middle of the show, I think this would have been fine. But it was just the fact that I think it main evented the show. There wasn't really like a payoff to anything. It was just kind of like 25 years, and that's about it. There were a few bits that made me laugh, like Ric Flair FaceTiming in, and then he hangs up, calls back in to then just cry. I thought was quite funny. Just Ric Flair being Ric Flair. Stephanie McMahon, for some reason, Shawn Michaels just having massive heat with Stephanie. And just
it looked like Stephanie was in a car park as well. I don't know quite where she was, but I genuinely thought that when Vince said, "I love you," I was thinking, Shawn Michaels is gonna super kick Triple H as a kind of throwback moment, but then he didn't, which was a shame. I think that would have been good.
But for some reason, Vince just starts talking about Bayley, this is your life, and saying it wasn't Bayley's fault. And I'm like,
what? We know it wasn't Bayley's fault.
Triple H? What's this got to do? I was very confused. But then he just kind of leaves and he says, "Good night, Padre." And then he walks out and then the lights start going off. And then I'm like,
yeah, it was a bit awkward because like obviously they'd planned this in advance.
Mm-hmm.
But they were really trying to make it look as if they hadn't planned it in advance.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, he's kicking us out. Pwah, what a rogue. Classic Vince.
Yeah.
It didn't. That bit didn't work for me. But do you know what? I'm perfectly happy to accept that my opinion is wrong on this one because from what I've seen, everyone really enjoyed this segment.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Great. That's really nice that people enjoyed it. And I'm not going to be the party pooper who's going to sit here and go, "Well, you're all wrong."
Yeah, exactly.
Because the fact that I have the 3% opinion here suggests that I'm letting quarantine get to me.
Okay, boomer. Yeah, pretty much. I think I'm in the same ballpark as you, but I'm totally willing to admit that I'm wrong about this. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of it. There were some bits that made me laugh, but it was too long, in my opinion. If they just condensed all the funny bits, if they just condensed all the funny bits into like a short 5 to 10 minute thing, I think it would have been great. But yeah, it just went a bit too long for me, and I don't think it should have main evented. But
and the ending sort of fizzled out.
Yeah, a little bit. There was a good last line, which was when the lights were off and they put over the sound of crickets. And then Triple H goes, "Do you hear the sound of crickets?" And Shawn Michaels goes, "Story of your career, bud." I was like, that's a funny line, but it's a weird main event to the show. It's a weird end to the show, that. But again, totally willing to accept I'm wrong. It was a wacky segment, that much is for sure. That was the main event segment of Triple H's 25th anniversary. And they actually got it right, by the way, his 25th anniversary. It wasn't, the 25th anniversary like at WrestleMania when it was the 24th anniversary. This actually was the 25th anniversary. So well done, WWE. Well done. You finally figured it out. Let's talk about the rest of the show. Which started off with saying, "Tonight it's Triple H's 25th anniversary," and then we got the opening video package, and it goes, "Tonight it's Triple H's 25th anniversary." It's like,
they didn't let us forget that, did they? Because I think they wanted people to think, "Oh well, if that's his anniversary, that means we're going to see some legends return," to try and get people to. And that's why it was the main event.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But the actual show itself kicked off with Big E and Kofi coming out and celebrating their 8th time tag team 8th championship win, I should say. And they were saying, we've now got more tag team championships than all these legends, and we're super awesome, and we're going to go down as one of the best tag teams in history. And I'm like, that's actually pretty cool. I like that little celebration. Then the Lucha House Party came out. I was like, Oh, okay. Sure,
Yeah,
why not? Yeah.
This felt very much like what tag teams have we got? But Pete, you're skipping over the really obvious Big E heel turn. I mean, you mentioned it last week. I mean, he was so obvious this week. He clearly hates Kofi.
Hey man, it's going to be a shocking turn when it happens, let me tell you. But Biggie heel turn confirmed. Lucha House Party then come out and say they want to challenge for the tag titles. Before they can properly even finish, though, Miz and Morrison come out, and I really like this from Miz and Morrison. Literally just walk straight past Lucha House Party as if they're not even there. They're just like, yeah, you're not worthy.
They may
of
as well
time
not
right
have
now.
been.
Yeah, which I quite enjoyed. They got in the ring and just called, the victory was cheap because it wasn't in a tag match. It's been in, we've had to defend an elimination chamber. We've had to defend a triple threat ladder match. We've had to defend it in a triple threat singles match. But you've never actually faced us in a 2-on-2 tag team match. You're not worthy of having those championships, and we want them back. I thought it was, great motivation for them. And then the Forgotten Sons came out, which I wasn't expecting, honestly, but I genuinely quite enjoyed them in this segment. I mean, they weren't like spectacular or anything, but I thought they were pretty good. They came out, they said all their names. They're like, hey, we're here to run roughshod. We've served in the armed forces before. We know what we're doing. We are going to beat you up. And then they all got into a big brawl, and Forgotten Sons stood tall at the end of it.
So
I quite liked it.
Yes, it was good. It was a good way to get them over. However, I don't think they need to talk. I think they are very much capable of just being a beating up team. I didn't think who was the one with the long hair.
Wesley Blake.
Wesley Blake. He said something like, what did he say? He said, some people even call us savages. As it was so badly executed. I don't think these guys need. They don't like because they look like savages. They don't need to tell people this. I think they could have literally come out, done the attack spot, and that would have been a lot more effective. I know that that's not really what the main roster is about. They want people to talk. They want people to kind of build stories and things like that. And obviously, the fact that they were Marines, that's so WWE. Oh, you're in the armed forces. Well, that's your gimmick. So yeah, and it was cool to kind of see them actually stand tall. There was there wasn't a lot of like return offense from anyone. So it feels like they're going to be the next kind of dominant force in the tag division. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were to walk away with the belts at Money in the Bank or something like that, because that establishes them as an actual threat, something that they certainly weren't really established as an NXT. So which is good.
I'd like to extend that build out a little bit. I'd like it to be a Miz and Morrison rematch first at Money in the Bank, and then maybe at like SummerSlam or something, you can give Forgotten Sons the titles there. Something like that I think would be pretty cool. Yeah. And I do agree with you. I don't think they needed to talk. I think it was good in getting their characters over rather than just being like, we beat people up because we're heels kind of thing.
Yeah.
They were just like, hey, we used to serve in the armed forces. We're sick of being disrespected. We've come back from, serving our country and we're not getting the respect we deserve. It put over their characters well enough. And it's a very simple character that a lot of casual fans can easily latch onto. And then they beat people up. And I do agree with you that delivery of that line from Blake wasn't great.
We are savages.
Some people call us savages. But overall, I thought this was pretty good. An effective way to get over their characters, I thought. We saw a little video package of Triple H's 1995 debut as Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Pure Blood, wasn't it? Was that his thing? Blood. Triple H. Miz and Morrison were backstage, and I thoroughly enjoyed this little thing from Miz Morrison. It's very subtle, but I really liked it, where Renee came up, they were being all super angry, and Renee came up to them and said, what are you going to do about the Forgotten Sons? And they were like, no, we're talking about Lucha House Party. We're going to have a match against them, which I really liked, because it totally is Forgotten Sons that instigated the brawl and caused this whole, thing to happen.
Yeah.
But they're just like, we don't want to face a scary team. Let's talk about Lucha House Party instead.
I just missed Renee Young.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It was a 5-star show for me after this.
Totally. But they're going to have a match with Lucha House Party later in the night. Then it was a Money in the Bank qualifier with Drew Gulak and King Corbin, which I thought was a solid match. There was nothing super spectacular about it, but it was fine. But then the finish came when Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro came out and started beating up Daniel Bryan on the outside. And then Gulak got distracted, tried to start beating up Nakamura and Cesaro, which allowed Corbin to take advantage, push him into the ring post, hit the end of days. Corbin qualifies for Money in the Bank, but then afterwards, Nakamura and Cesaro get in. They hold up Daniel Bryan, Gulak by his arms, and then Corbin gets the scepter and, hits Gulak in the throat, kind of like he did to Elias last week. And then Corbin, Nakamura, and Cesaro all stand all together in the ring. I'm like, mid-card Raw ends. No, I got flashbacks. Like, I was like, don't do this again. Please don't.
Sammy's not there because he's had his wisdom teeth out. Which means obviously he can't take any bumps or anything like that because that stuff hurts. I saw this and went, no, not again. There you go.
I'm holding out hope that they're not doing it. I'm holding out hope that this is just because... because there's heels at the same time. I know we keep talking over each other. I'm just hoping that it's just because they were heels in the same place at the same time, temporary alliance, and now they're not going to be seen together again, and that's it. I'm hoping that it's not like, oh, Corbin's the new leader of Nakamura and Cesaro, because I'll be like, oh no, it's going to be terrible. But
temporary alliance or temporary Elias, because he got injured last week.
That's pretty bad.
Thank you.
My notes were just like, Corbin hits the end of the days for the win. Oh no. And then all in capitals, Corbin standing with two cronies with him. Flashbacks. Stop it. Get it off my screen. Were my notes. So yeah.
Yeah. But then obviously been to the most important part of the show, which was to mention that Gronk it looks like his time with WWE is probably over. Because he's decided, oh wait, I'm going to make a lot more money being a footballer. And my best friend has just moved to Tampa. So I'm going to do that instead. But they were like, oh, he's still a 24/7 champion, which apparently is important. They may well have some kind of deal with Fox or ESPN where a bunch of footballers can win it during matches or something.
R-Truth will run out after a touchdown and pin him.
Yeah, or like there'll be a spot in a match where Gronk's wearing the belt and someone tackles him and then they pin him for 3 and then some random other linebacker, quarterback, defense wide linesman
Silly mid-off.
Stops him from catching the egg.
We know sports.
Yeah.
After that, it was a squash match between Sheamus and Daniel Vidot. Daniel Vidot, by the way, who looked like he had a really cool look to him.
He looked a bit like Reigns.
He looks like a cool guy. He had like just gloves. He had a lot of like cool tattoos, big physique. I was like, he looks like a proper like wrestler. He doesn't look like an enhancement talent, but regardless, he got dominated by Sheamus in a few minutes.
I'm so sick of watching Sheamus squash matches.
I know. They're doing the slow build for him and Hardy, but it's a slow build.
They are. God. It's the same match every week. There's no I wouldn't mind if it was different matches, and I feel like I'm being negative about every segment here, but I don't need to see this every week. And I knew what was coming out. I wrote all my notes for this segment before it happened. I knew that Sheamus was going to come out and win. I knew that they were going to play a Jeff Hardy thing, and I knew that he was going to get annoyed about it. Obviously, they did it a slightly different way this week in the way that they played the video.
Weird.
They were chatting, and then Sheamus was just still standing there behind as if
after everyone had
Michael Cole goes, oh, well, Sheamus.
After people had made their entrance for the next match, Sheamus was still there, just glaring at Michael Cole. Cole comes back after the Hardy documentary with his glasses off in preparation for the spot that he's going to have. It was a weird order to do it, but yeah. I tell you what was different. About the Sheamus match. He did a spinning back elbow this time.
Oh, the Judas effect.
Yeah,
no wonder he won.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, as much as I'm kind of quite keen on a Sheamus Hardy feud, there must be a better way to build the two. I mean, why can't you just have Hardy on the show?
Or you'd at least think that maybe doing something slightly different with Sheamus. Like, sure, he got annoyed at commentary. I think the first 2 weeks were fine. He would kind of glance at commentary like, why are you talking about Hardy? Sure. And then the next week they talk about Hardy again. And he's like, why are you talking about Hardy? Stop talking about Hardy. And then this week, he like bro kicks Michael Cole or like destroys the commentary desk or goes skits. Like, stop talking about other people. Look at what I'm doing in the ring. That's fine. Like, progress it up. This just felt like it was the same thing over and over again, even though it's a slight progression because he got physical this time and ripped his headset off. Oh no.
Ooh.
It should have been escalated a lot higher than that, I think. But the Hardy mini documentary itself, part 3, Redemption, was about his return at Mania 33 with no one. It was just him. No one else came back. It was weird.
Yeah, that was funny. That was
yeah.
funny how they it was like, yeah, I was going to suggest to you earlier that we could do AEW star appears on SmackDown.
That's the title of the video.
Title. But they were like, he kept saying, "Oh yeah, when we return," and they just kept showing pictures of it. There was one bit where Matt appeared very briefly, but you could tell that they were really trying to make you forget that they were a tag team.
Yeah, it's literally like the Hardy Boys with Jeff Hardy. You know, that great tag team, the Hardy Boys with Jeff Hardy. Yeah, that tag team.
Remember when I returned on my own and won the Raw Tag Team Championship?
Yeah. Which, you know, it's understandable. Obviously, they don't want to promote an AEW guy, but it's still funny. Yeah. Again, documentary is really well made. It's cool, and they've got part 4 next week, which is the comeback. So chances are we're getting another Sheamus squash match, and Sheamus is probably going to get annoyed again. Probably.
Yeah.
We got DX invading WCW in 1998 as another Triple H highlight. Then we get the Sheamus. Yeah, so it was the Triple H career highlight. Then we get the entrance for Miz and Morrison in their tag team match. And then it's Sheamus that's there ripping his headset off of Michael Cole. And then Lucha House Party come out for their match. Or the other way around. It was Lucha House Party and Miz and Morrison either way. But he was there a long time, just waiting to get mad at Michael Cole, which was weird. Anyway, yes, it was that tag match. Miz and Morrison versus Lucha House Party match. And there's one spot I noted down that I'd never seen before that I thought was quite cool. Was a rolling Alabama slam from John Morrison.
Yes.
I've just not seen that before. It was cool.
It really felt like Morrison went, "Oh, Lucha. I can go back to Johnny Mundo for a bit here." And there's some really nice bits in this match. I thought, wow, Lucha House Party are really good.
Yeah.
Why have they got this gimmick? Because their gimmick is so bad.
Their gimmick is Lucha, right? That's their gimmick.
It's sort of, but not really, because Lucha is actually good and their gimmick is not good. And there were glimpses in this match. I was thinking, oh man, I really want to see lots of these matches between these people. We're not going to get them, but yeah, the Lucha's just suddenly won with a roll up and on Miz again, and I'm thinking this feels like the start of already a breakup, because Morrison's be like, well, you lost us the title, you lost us our chance maybe becoming number 1 contenders. I mean, what next, Mike? Yeah,
I'm really thinking that's the way they're going. But yeah, it was Metalik just countering a skull crushing finale into a roll up for the win. I thought it was a cool finish to it. It elevates Lucha House Party a little bit. I'm hoping they get a little bit of a push, like a proper push, and they actually get like a character. Would be nice.
There were a few matches on this card which were 3 or 4 minutes shorter than they should have been because they needed time for the Triple H segment, which feels a bit wrong.
Totally.
I mean, we'll talk about it next, but Carmella and Dana Brooke versus Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss was what, 2.5 minutes maybe?
It was not very long, yeah. But there was a really, really strange bit at the end of this match. I don't know if you picked up on it or not. At the end of this match, after Metalik has won, Corey Graves on commentary goes, "I'm absolutely speechless." And then Michael Cole goes, "I'm absolutely speechless." And then after a couple of seconds later, Corey Graves goes, "I am shocked." And Michael Cole just goes, "I'm shocked at this." It was like they'd both been fed the same lines to say at the same time. So both of them just went to say it without realizing that the other person said it. It was either that or it was like a rib on Graves so that Cole just said the same line over. I was so confused. I was like, why are they saying the same thing? Really strange. Really didn't get it at all. But then after that, we got Sasha Banks versus Lacey Evans, Money in the Bank qualifier again. I thought, again, this was effective in what it needed to do. The match itself was fine. After a woman's right, Bayley put Sasha Banks' foot on the bottom rope, which prevented her getting the win, which was cool. Bayley helping Banks. But then Evans got really mad about it, dragged Bayley into the ring. And then while Sasha Banks was rolling up Lacey Evans, Bayley was being in the ring, kind of the ref forcing her to kind of get out of the ring, missing Banks winning the match. And then Banks got really annoyed. She told Bayley to screamed at her, stay out of this. And as she turned around, another woman's right. Evans picks up the win. So more dissension between Banks and Bayley. And this time it was a bit more overt. It was a bit more like Banks actually yelling at Bayley, which was nice. And Evans got the Money in the Bank qualifiers, which I thought it's good. It's a really effective story build.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I've got a popsicle stick of my rival's daughter as well.
Yeah,
that was unusual. I thought it was kind of effective. It was a bit strange, especially when she punched her with her daughter. So I mean, obviously that's kind of her gimmick. I am mother. But yeah. I was actually really shocked that Banks didn't win, because I thought, and we've kind of heard speculation, that Banks was going to win the briefcase. So that really took me by surprise.
She still might find a way in.
They may do like a last, like they have done in previous years, like a kind of losers
bracket. Yeah, totally.
But the strangest thing for me was right at the end. So. Oh damn! I missed a joke. I have to do that next week. I was going to say that Banks had some summertime sadness because the daughter's called Summer. Anyway, so Tamina's music hits when Bayley and Banks come up the ramp, and it was almost as if Bayley had never heard Tamina's music before, because she didn't react at all. She went. Yeah. And then she just got super kicked, even though she must have seen Tamina walking towards her. She saw Tamina's giant name behind her, and she didn't react at all. I mean, I don't know if she's been conditioned not to react. I know I have, but it was really bizarre, because she just sort of stood there and waited to get kicked in the face.
See, I'm thinking that what it was supposed to be was Tamina coming out and just super kicking her out of nowhere. No entrance music, no nothing. But then they changed it to have Tamina like, oh, her entrance music should play here. We need to get that over as like an entrance. But they didn't think about the consequences of having her music play, but then Bayley still being surprised by her coming out. It was a really weird mismatch.
It was as if there was some weird timing issue, like as if she should have come out, kicked her, and then then her music starts playing immediately.
Yeah, totally.
The music starts playing, and then within like 2 seconds, she's done the super kick. But it was like 5 to 10 seconds of her music, no one reacting, and then she comes out and kicks Bayley.
Yeah.
And I mean, Michael Cole and Corey Graves completely pretty much no sell it.
Totally.
So.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. It was just weird. Just weird timing. But after that, we got Wyatt versus Strowman. We got a video package explaining their history together, which I thought was effective, what it needed to do for people who aren't aware of the history of Strowman and the Wyatt family. I thought this was a really good video package to explain their history. Still not a fan of last week's segment of him looking at the black sheep mask. No. He's a bad actor, but it was fine. Weird thing I picked up on this one, they're advertising Bray Wyatt for the match and not The Fiend. And I don't know whether that's intentional or not. I don't know whether it's going to be like a Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt versus The Miz situation like at TLC, or they're just advertising Bray Wyatt and it is actually going to be The Fiend.
Didn't they advertise Bray Wyatt for WrestleMania?
I think they advertised Bray Wyatt, but the image of him was always The Fiend. The image of him on this is of Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt, which I don't know whether that's just
I do think this is or what. I do think because everyone was raving so much, they're going to do the thing that WWE do, which is they like that. Okay, let's give it to them 1 million times. I do think this is going to be a cinematic match again. I can very much see Wyatt winning the title back. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't think this needs to be for the belt. And I don't think the belt will help Wyatt. But, whatever. It's going to be a cool match. I think it's going to be a really cool match because, if it's got Wyatt working on it, I don't know how much of a creative mastermind Strowman is, but certainly Wyatt we know is.
Yeah, totally.
That'll be fun to watch. So that's at Money in the Bank. Then we got our Mandy and Otis recap, which pretty much was just to sort of set up to say, oh, it's going to be Otis Dolph next week in a qualifier, and it's going to be Mandy versus Carmella in a qualifier for some reason, rather than Mandy versus Sonya. But I guess
I think for that one,
building that match.
I think for that one, Sonya's going to get involved and probably cost Mandy the spot.
Yeah,
probably. And then after that, we had Carmella and Dana Brooke backstage being completely fine after their dissension last week, when Carmella was like, oh, you need to focus on the tag match. And then Carmella's got Money in the Bank qualifier next week. So I thought it was quite cool for Dana Brooke to be like, hey, you've got Money in the Bank qualifier this week. I think you should be thinking about tonight. And Carmella's like, I am thinking about tonight. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let's go do it then. All right.
Yeah, I think but there was like the inside joke, wasn't it? Like, no, I guess you got me there. Yeah, like, that's what I said last week. Oh, you classic. Yeah, and they lost immediately.
They lost
really quickly with a move. Was that a new finisher?
New finisher, which I actually really liked.
Like Michael Cole called it a 3D, and I was like, that wasn't.
It's a modified 3D. That's what he called it. Which it is. It's Nikki Cross doing kind of the flapjack maneuver, and then Bliss, instead of a cutter in the 3D, doing a DDT instead, which I thought looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
I thought it's good that they have a tag team finisher now. I really like that, and I think it looks cool. You can kind of do the move out of nowhere, which is good. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
it's great.
But yeah, it just felt like this match was a crap. The Triple H thing is going to be 20 minutes. You need to cut this as short as possible. Yeah. It doesn't really put over Brooke or Carmella.
Not particularly, but it does put over Bliss and Cross as a legit tag team, which is nice. Yeah. And it makes sense that two single stars wouldn't be able to hang with an actual tag team, which I guess also makes sense.
But, I mean, who is next?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I have no idea. No. And the commentary really tried to push over that Carmella and Brooke go way back. I'm like, sure.
Do they?
Yeah, I believe that, sure. They were like, oh yeah, they tried out at similar times. Oh, cool. Yeah, they go way back. Yeah, and then we got the main event segment of the Triple H 25th anniversary. So overall, this show, I thought it was a solid, effective build for Money in the Bank. I really like the fact they're doing qualifying matches. It's so simple because every match that you have that's a qualifying match immediately has stakes, and you don't need to have like a pre-baked story going into it. And then in the qualifying matches where you have some pre-baked story going into it, it's even better. Like it just makes sense. I thought that everything was solid on the show. There wasn't anything that was bad. Everything was just pretty solid and good and an effective build. Main event segment I thought was a bit long, but it did make me laugh sometimes. So I'm going to give this a high 3 out of 5, I thought, for this show. So thumbs up for me.
Middle of the road. Yeah, it was. There's some good bits.
No, that's the AEW rating, mate.
Sorry. I'm going to go for average.
Smack bang in the middle. Come on, man.
So, I know. But yeah, it was fine. It was fine. And there was some good bits. And there was some bits where I didn't. That there was some that Tamina thing just really confused me. So I can't think about what that was. But yeah, and it's cool that I guess they're building the Lucha House Party a bit.
And the Forgotten Sons as well.
And the Forgotten Sons build. And yeah, and it was nice to see Triple H get his moment. It's a shame that it can't be in front of a crowd, because I think that would have made it a lot better, because the crowd would have been shouting lots of thank you, Hunter, or whatever, and all that sort of stuff. But they had to do it, and I'm sure it got a few more people to watch. So
yeah, hopefully anyways, yeah. But that is all the time we've got for this episode of the WrestleTalk podcast. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Please press the videos that have just appeared on the screen to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things, and the button on the middle that will make you become a pledge hammer on Patreon as well. I've been Chopper Pete Quinnell, been joined by Randy Andy Datson, and that was SmackDown.